He's Tony Dungy from Football Night in America. Tony, good morning. Let me start with a poll question. You can start your team with Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, Todd Gurley, any other rookie. Amari Cooper, who would you start your team with?
Well, I'm definitely taking one of the quarterbacks. I said I'm a little partial to Marcus Mariota, but watching Jameis here in Tampa, he's lifted this team, and I think he's got the body type and the physique that he's going to last a long time. I still am concerned. I need to see one off season and see how he makes it through. So at this minute, this very moment, I'd take Mariota, but James, I'd take one of those two guys for sure and build my franchise around them.
But football only.
Football only, I'd probably take Jameis because of the body and the fact that I think, as we kind of saw with Andrew Luck and RG3, Luck's body is going to hold up better. I think Jameis has that big physical body where he's not going to get hurt.
He reminds me of a little bit of James Harrison size and also Ben Roethlisberger. I could see him being one of those guys that puts on, he weighs 230, 240 pounds maybe by, the midway part of his career.
I agree.
Most valuable non-quarterback in the NFL right now is who?
To me, it's Rob Gronkowski. He does so much for that offense. You see the difference when he's not in there and the difference when he's in. He wasn't even full speed last week. He made a couple of catches, but just the coverage that he dictates, the confidence that he gives everybody else and creates open space for other people, I think he's really, really valuable to that Patriots team. I don't think they can win without him. I don't think they can win it. With him playing, they got a great chance.
But if he played on another team, is he still a Hall of Fame caliber tight end?
Yeah, I think he is. He's got so many skills that people would figure out how to use him. Now, he's playing with a great quarterback and with a coaching staff that understands what he can do, and they very creative with him. So they get the most out of him, but he'd be great anywhere just with that skill set.
We talked to Rodney Harrison yesterday, and he just raves about Julio Jones. He thinks he's the best wide receiver in the game. And I said, if I was comparing those two, Odell Beckham Jr. and Julio Jones, and he said that Julio Jones is just heads above everybody else. Do you agree?
I don't know about that now. Beckham's got a burst and that ability to separate that a lot of guys don't have. Julio's a big body, and, even when he's not wide open, he's going to make the catches. But I think if you ask guys whether they'd rather defend him or Beckham, most guys would rather see Julio, I think.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, Beckham has a burst now. He's able to run away from people. They both are going to make acrobatic catches. Beckham is better running after the catch, I think. If I was a defensive back, I'd rather play against Julio Jones. Not that you want either one of them, but Beckham would scare me. I'd have nightmares going into that game.
But the last time when you coached where you were truly worried, I'm not going to say scared, but truly worried about a wide receiver, who was
Randy
that?
Moss.
Oh, yeah?
Who could make catches in traffic, could catch when you had him covered, and had the ability to run away from you. Beckham makes those 70-yard plays, and that's what scares you as a defensive coach. Hey, if you catch a 20-yard ball, you catch 8 balls, I can recover. But if you take one to the house 80 yards, there's nothing I can do. So those are the guys that scared me, that had the ability to have those one-play touchdowns.
At their best, Rice or Moss?
Rice was so competitive and so driven. He was tough to play against. But when Randy Moss wanted to play, when it was a big game that meant something to him, I don't know if there's anybody tougher to cover than him and had the ability to make those plays. I wouldn't want to play against Randy when he was ready to go.
Can you imagine if Moss had Jerry Rice's drive?
It'd been unstoppable, and
he was pretty close to that, even not having that.
But Jerry was unique in that way, where he was so driven to be the best and so driven to make every play and every catch and catch 20 balls every game. His passion was incredible. Randy had that talent where you probably didn't need that passion because he was so good.
He's Tony Dungy, Football Night in America. By the way, our Sunday night game is Arizona and Philadelphia. You got a handle on Philadelphia now?
They're rolling pretty well. They're playing with confidence. I think Bradford is playing closer to what they had hoped, and defensively, their defensive line the last couple of weeks has created that pressure, and they're going to need that on Sunday night. I don't think they can cover Arizona's receivers. They'll struggle unless Fletcher Cox and Barwin and that group put so much heat on without blitzing, without having to blitz. If they have to blitz Palmer, it won't be pretty. If they're not able to get pressure, it won't be pretty. But Philly can win if Barwin and Fletcher Cox have big games.
The Browns head coach Mike Patton said Russell Wilson shouldn't be considered top-tier quarterback. What did you think of that comment?
I understand what he was saying. You know, it's the same thing. We're talking about Moss and Julio Jones and Beckham, and you're splitting hairs. For me to say, well, I like Beckham better than Julio Jones, that doesn't mean Julio isn't great. And that's what he was saying. He's saying, okay, Russell Wilson is very, very, very good. He's not Tom Brady. Okay, and he's probably not Roethlisberger yet, but he's very good. And I think people took it out of context. That's why you have to be careful anytime you say anything. But I'm hoping that's what he was saying, that hey, this guy is not the best. He's not Aaron Rodgers. I'd still rather have Rodgers. I'd rather have Brady, but he's in the next group, which is still not a bad group.
Yeah, but you're playing that team this week, and he's thrown, 16 touchdowns, no interceptions over his last 4 games, and I guess the timing of it. Now, did I love the gift wrap here during Christmas week? Absolutely. I was happy he said it, but I do understand what he's saying. But
he was trying to be honest. And the easy thing is to say, oh, yeah, he's great, he's the best, and I put him in the top 3 or the top 5, and then you don't have to worry about it. But he was trying to be honest. And you know, if you ask me, do I want Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers? I love Russell Wilson. And I think, you know, you asked me to start a team, I'm looking at him. But if I'm picking right now, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers. And that's not to say Wilson isn't great.
All right, the Broncos in the last couple of weeks here, these next couple of games, how should they handle these last couple of games here in the regular season?
Well, they got to try to win them. They got to try to win this game at Pittsburgh and then come back and beat Cincinnati. And if they win those 2 games, then they can figure out who their quarterback's going to be and what they're going to do down the road in that last game. But these 2 are critical, and they've got to play great defense, and they've got to run the ball, and they've got to hope that Osweiler can make some plays. But I said, I think it was on the show last week, or maybe it was you and I talking, let's slow down. The Brock Osweiler is ready to lead them to the Super Bowl train. He's still a rookie quarterback, and not a rookie, but his first year playing.
Yeah.
And guys are going to struggle. They're going to see defenses that they haven't seen. People are starting to get a read on what they do now. It's going to be more difficult for him in these next 2 weeks than it was in the first 3, for sure.
Yeah. They got to get Peyton some run here a little bit, I think. But I don't know. I think this game is so important. If Osweiler plays well and they win this game, can that cement him as the starter the rest of the season?
In some people's mind, it will. But even if he does, then it's still harder once you get into the playoffs and once you get going against really great defenses. So to say, hey, we won this game, you know, they beat the Patriots. And the Patriots were undefeated, I think, when they beat them, right?
Yeah.
So should that cement him as a starter? Well, not in my mind.
Well, I want to see what he does in a big game on the road, and this is a big game on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to see. Before I let you go, how would you handle the Carolina situation of trying to go undefeated?
Well, look at Andy Dalton last week, okay?
Yep.
Screen pass, and he breaks his thumb. And he's out. And now that's going to hurt Cincinnati. But there's nothing you can do about it. That's football. But let's say he got hurt in Week 16 in a game that didn't mean anything. Marvin Lewis would be sick right now.
Yep.
Okay? And that's what Ron Rivera is going to face. And it's a little easier for him because it's probably only going to be 1 week where he's got to make that decision. We had to make it in 2005. We had 3 weeks left. We had everything wrapped up. And you say, do you keep playing for 3 weeks and take a chance? What do I tell my team if Peyton Manning gets hurt? in a game that doesn't mean anything. And Carolina saw that happen. Actually, Ron Rivera actually answered the question when Charles Johnson got mad. And Charles Johnson said, why am I not in there in the fourth quarter where I can rush the passer and get some sacks? And he said, we're ahead 35-0. The game's over. I didn't need you in there. Now, if Ron remembers that conversation 2 weeks from now, he'll tell the whole team that. I'm not going to have you get hurt when the game doesn't mean anything. And he saw Kuechly get hurt, and fortunately he was able to come back in. Olsen got hurt. He was able to come back in. Cam got hurt. He was able to come back in. Ben Wickery got hurt, and he's not coming back. So to say, hey, we're going to go for history or we're going to try to be 16-0, it doesn't make sense to me.
I will see you on Sunday.
All righty.
Thanks, bud.
Sounds good.
That's Tony Dungy, Football Night in America.